Imagine a world locked in a tense standoff, two superpowers staring each other down, where a single misstep could trigger a global catastrophe. This was the Cold War. In this high-stakes game of espionage, information was the ultimate weapon. The United States needed to know what the Soviet Union was up to, but Soviet air defenses were a fortress, bristling with missiles and fighter jets. Sending a conventional plane was a suicide mission. So, American engineers at Lockheed's legendary Skunk Works, led by the brilliant Kelly Johnson, were given an impossible task: build a plane that could fly so high and so fast that no one could touch it. A ghost. A phantom. What they created wasn't just a plane. It was a legend. They called it the SR-71 Blackbird. This wasn't your average aircraft. The Blackbird was a marvel of engineering, forged from titanium to withstand the insane heat generated by flying at over 3 times the speed of sound. We're talking more than 2,200 miles per hour. At that speed, the leading edges of the wings would glow a faint cherry red. To put that in perspective, the SR-71 could cross the entire continental United States in just over an hour. It flew at altitudes above 85,000 feet, so high that its pilots could see the curvature of the Earth. They weren't just pilots. They were practically astronauts, wearing full-pressure suits just like the ones used for space missions. Now, picture this from the Soviet side. Suddenly, their most advanced radar systems would light up. An unidentified object is streaking across their airspace at an altitude and speed they thought were impossible. They'd scrambled their best fighter jets, the MiG-25 Foxbat, a fearsome interceptor designed specifically to counter American high-altitude bombers. But it was no use. By the time the MiGs struggled to climb to their maximum altitude, the Blackbird was already a tiny dot, disappearing over the horizon, having already photographed Mubiao, its target. The Soviets would fire surface-to-air missiles, their most potent weapons, but the SR-71 was simply too fast. The pilots would see the missiles launching far below, knowing that by the time the missile reached their altitude, they would be miles away. One of the most famous stories comes from retired pilot Major Brian Schul. On a mission over Libya, he and his reconnaissance systems officer, Walter Watson, were detected. They knew missiles were coming. Instead of trying to dodge them, Schul just did what the Blackbird did best. He pushed the throttles forward. As the plane accelerated past Mach 3, they simply outran the threat. It wasn't a dogfight. It was a race, and the Blackbird was in a class of its own. It's this untouchable quality that made the Soviets both fear and, in a strange way, respect the aircraft. They knew they had nothing that could challenge it. So, what were these missions that were so important? The SR-71's primary job was strategic reconnaissance. It was a flying camera platform, but what a platform it was. Its cameras could take incredibly detailed photographs of military bases, missile silos, and naval shipyards from 85,000 feet up. The resolution was so good that analysts could reportedly identify types of vehicles on the ground. During the Yom Kippur War in 1973, SR-71 overflights provided crucial intelligence that helped stabilize a volatile situation and broker a ceasefire. It flew missions over Vietnam, North Korea, and the Middle East, giving American decision-makers a clear picture of what was happening on the ground in the world's most dangerous hotspots. The missions the Soviets feared most were the ones directly over their territory or along their sensitive borders, like the Barents Sea, home to their strategic Northern Fleet and nuclear submarine bases. An SR-71, flying a Baltic Express mission, could map out the entire Soviet naval presence and air defense network in a single pass. For the Soviet military, this was terrifying. It meant that in a potential conflict, the US would know the location of their most critical assets. The Blackbird was essentially stripping away their home field advantage, making them feel exposed and vulnerable in their own backyard. Every time a Blackbird was in the air, the entire Soviet air defense system went on high alert, an expensive and nerve-wracking exercise that they had to repeat time and time again, knowing they could never catch the intruder. The SR-71's design was full of incredible innovations. Because of the extreme heat at Mach 3, the plane was built with panels that fit loosely on the ground. This meant that its specialized JP-7 fuel would actually leak out onto the tarmac before takeoff. It sounds like a flaw, but it was intentional. Once in the air and flying at speed, the airframe would heat up and expand, sealing the panels tightly. This unique fuel also had to be ignited with a special chemical, as it was very stable and wouldn't ignite with a simple spark. The plane literally had to get up to speed to function properly. Living and working with the Blackbird was an experience like no other. The pilots and our SOs were the best of the best, undergoing rigorous physical and psychological screening. Each mission was a physically demanding ordeal, lasting hours inside a cramped cockpit, wearing a restrictive pressure suit. Ground crews worked around the clock in a highly secretive environment, maintaining these complex machines. Everyone involved knew they were part of something extraordinary, pushing the very limits of what was technologically possible. The sense of mission and camaraderie was immense. Despite flying over 4,000 operational sorties, many over hostile territory, not a single SR-71 was ever shot down by enemy fire. That's an absolutely incredible record. Its only enemy was itself. 12 aircraft were lost due to mechanical failures or accidents during its 30-year service life, but never to a missile or a fighter jet. Its invincibility was its greatest legacy. So why did it retire? By the 1990s, the world had changed. The Cold War was ending. The cost of operating the SR-71 fleet was enormous, and the rapid advancement of spy satellites offered a less risky and eventually more persistent way of gathering intelligence. Satellites could linger over a target for days, whereas the Blackbird could only provide a snapshot in time. So, in 1998, the SR-71 was officially retired, marking the end of an era. Today, the remaining Blackbirds are museum pieces, silent titans of a bygone age, but they stand as a powerful testament to human ingenuity in the relentless pursuit of the impossible. The SR-71 wasn't just a spy plane. It was a psychological weapon, a symbol of technological supremacy that kept the peace by ensuring that no secret could stay hidden for long. It was the mission the Soviets feared most, carried out by a plane they could never stop. Thank you for watching. If you're fascinated by incredible feats of engineering and Cold War history, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you won't miss our next video. See you next time.